are live again. Welcome back everyone on the Decod3rs channel. Today we are going to talk about Solana validators with the legend, like the most famous monkey ever. Hanko, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Pleasure, man. So yeah, like for everyone in the chat, meet Hanko. We met at a breakpoint, like at the monkey, like monkey meetup, monkey party.
Yeah, man.
Banger tapas, by the way. And
so good. What a great night.
Exactly, man. That was awesome. And yeah, we talk for 5 minutes. So yeah, let's talk about Solana validators on the channel, and here we are. Thank you so much for doing it, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. And everyone, GM Benny, GM Oogie, Swifty, MQ, Steph, Alparia. I'm never gonna be able to pronounce your enter, bro. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. And okay, so Hanko, like let's start with like introduce yourself, like and what you're doing for Bandito Stake, because that's gonna be the topic of the night.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. So, I'm an entrepreneur in the digital space. I've been,
Nice.
Basically I manage a network of niche content sites. I'm an affiliate marketer essentially. So I work from home. I've been doing this for, over a decade, but full time for the last six years or so.
Nice.
And just as far as like crypto is concerned, I've always been a huge fan of like tech and the advancement. 2017, obviously, everybody was reading about Bitcoin, Ethereum. I was into it, but I never invested. I discovered Solana around the beginning of 2021, listening to that Solana podcast with Anatoly. And just from episodes like 1 and 2, man, when he kind of explained the fundamentals of how Solana works and what makes it so fast and capable. I got excited for the first time about crypto.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So, since then, I'm just a Solana maxi through and through. After about 6 months of research and planning, I got the first validator up and running. Yeah, man. So, it's a lot of fun running a validator. I don't have any kind of like traditional systems admin experience,
Okay.
So, starting a validator was tough, and there was a lot of stuff that like I didn't understand up front, and that's I needed help with. And there was no back in 2021 there were no real big super in detail docs or ChatGPT at that time to help get your validator set up. So I was literally, man, like I would fly out to Solana hacker houses. I went to one in
That's cool.
And yeah, man, like Los Angeles. I went to one in New York City, and like literally I would try to get the validator set up and run into an error, and I would like just leave the error up on my desk, on my screen, and I'd go ask around and ask people if they knew anything about validators, and I would literally bring people over to my desk and troubleshoot stuff with them. Yeah, so that, it was a good community building experience, and eventually we got it up. It took about, so I ran the validator that we currently have with Bandito Stake. I ran that by myself for about let's say about a year or so, give or take.
Okay.
And I did that all out of my own pocket. Eventually, like the great collapse of 2022 happened, and it was a tough time. But it was around that time that Bandito DAO as a whole approached me, because I was telling them I was having some problems with keeping it up myself. Obviously it takes Solana to keep going, and I got surrounded by a good group of guys. There's 8 of us on the council.
Yep.
And we've all chipped in some Solana to get it started, and we're coming up on a year now of uptime just under the Bandito Stake name. And yeah, man, so it's great. I love running a validator. I love Solana, and I love the high performance hardware. I'm a real big hardware nerd.
That's quite impressive, because like, okay, so start like 2 years ago with like no software knowledge and stuff, and like going into like like deep into the code and like manually fix everything. That's
man.
That's dope,
it's
man.
hard, bro. It's hard. It's not easy. At least it wasn't easy back then. It's gotten a lot easier over the over the months and years as it goes by. Now the whole idea that like your average everyday person can't run a Solana validator. I mean, that's total bullshit. You definitely need some capital behind you, and you need a little bit of knowledge and being able to interact with Ubuntu and whatnot. But that's total crap. I mean, anybody can really run a Solana validator node. They just need a little bit of help. They need a community, honestly.
Yeah, you need a shit ton of soul, right?
So it's a lot. I mean, so I'll tell you with the Bandito Stake. So we have Bandito DAO, and obviously anybody with a sombrero that owns a Solana monkey business, Gen 2 or Gen 3, they automatically qualify to join the DAO. And then we have a kind of a sub council, a validator council, and we have 8 members. All of us contributed either 500 or 1,000 SOL, and we raised a total of 5,000 SOL, and that's just about enough to break even just on the voting costs. Because there's a difference between self-staked SOL and delegated stake. We can kind of jump into that later. But 5,000 SOL self-staked is kind of what you need, to at least break even on the voting costs.
On your own validator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. That's cool. Okay. And how many SOL do you have right now on the...
So yeah, man, we're at an all-time high as of last epoch. We're at around 75,000 delegated Solana. Yeah, man, it's honestly great.
That's cool.
This is the highest I've ever seen this node get up to. When I was originally running it by myself, I had an all-time high of around 30,000 Solana staked.
Nice.
And eventually it was so expensive to keep it up, and I was just having a hard time doing it by myself. So it's a blessing to have these guys around me and to be doing it as a group. It just makes it a lot easier. And we've managed to attract a lot of stake. And then we're hoping to, our total goal is to get 100,000 SOL delegated to us. And then there's a Solana Foundation program that'll delegate some additional SOL to us as well.
That's dope.
So we're in the process of onboarding to that. But that's about a 6-month process. So we're looking at like February to April of next year until we get a delegation from the foundation. Yeah.
Okay. So, how does that work exactly? Like technically, what do you need to do? Like if you go from scratch and you have those 5,000 SOL, what's happening?
It's a great question. So, essentially you need a high performance computer. There's nothing like on paper that says you can't build it yourself, right? I think that gets tossed around a lot, especially by Ethereum people who are, they're used to like mining on a GPU, right? Or you're even starting like a stake pool. I think Ethereum 2.0 is a little different, but they always have this conception that, you can't do it at home. And there's nothing that says that, right? You just need a super powerful computer. And typically that requires you to go to the kind of enterprise level hardware, which you're only going to get from renting some bare metal in a data center.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's not cheap.
Yeah. So it's cheap when you end up splitting it with friends, right? But it's typically not the kind of hardware you have sitting around.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it's not like you a gaming computer level. It's like
it's about
one more step.
Yeah. So just to give the audience an example, so we have 2 different nodes. We have one running on the testnet, Solana, and then we have a mainnet beta node as well. We have 2 different nodes, and one of them has 512 gigabytes of RAM. It's like not hard drive space, not 512 gigabytes of actual RAM, right? So like, typically with your normal consumer hardware, you're not going to be able to fit that much into a motherboard period. You're going to have to go to kind of a server form factor. Yeah.
Is that going to be improved with like Fire Dancer?
I'm not
part of it or not really.
Yeah. So Fire Dancer definitely adds a different, a different lens of things. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to lower the hardware requirements.
Okay.
But it's definitely good that we're building additional clients for the Solana network. It ends up improving decentralization and getting more people involved. But yeah, super bullish on Fire Dancer, but I don't know if it exactly lowers the hardware requirements.
Yeah, okay. And like, is like tends to increase like the technical, like the hardware requirement, or is that like it's defined like that and it's not gonna move anytime soon?
So there's two different viewpoints on this. Like, so, you know, in one crowd, you're going to hear people saying stuff like, you know, Solana needs to run on the latest hardware. There's nothing written, right? There's nothing about Solana that requires you to have the latest hardware. And, you know, so I'll say one thing, like Solana is the #1 most performant blockchain out there, right? And in order to have that kind of finality at the speed of light and, you know, have 400 millisecond block times and you know, having everything's as fast as we're normal, you know, or as we're used to, you got to have good hardware. But to be honest, it's historically, it's been the opposite. Right? Like when I started a validator, the hardware requirements were higher than what it is now. And with the latest updates with, I think it was like 1.16 into 1.17, the latest versions of Solana, it actually lowered the amount of system RAM that you need. You know, so we pay for 256 gigabytes on one and 512 gigabyte on the other server. You know, but with the latest updates, it's actually a lot less than what we're using.
Nice. Okay, that's dope.
Yeah,
cool. I like it, bro. That's cool. Okay, so basically, I can go to AWS and like create an instance and run the validators on it, right?
So listen, I mean, there's nothing stopping you from hosting on AWS, but just as you know, if you're into crypto and you understand decentralization, there's automatically kind of a red flag with hosting anything on AWS. You know,
how do you do it?
So my recommendation is just going with a bare metal host. So latitude.sh is the one that we use. They're a fantastic bare metal host. They have nodes, or they have servers available to rent all over the world, you know, anywhere from Australia to Brazil to the US. They have tons of different locations you can choose from. But you're definitely going to want to go with you know, like a bare metal host where you're actually getting full control of the box. You're not running like a virtual machine that you're sharing with other people. You know, and the other thing too is you got to make sure that you have enough bandwidth. So like one of the things with running a Solana validator is you're literally processing like around 250 megabits per second, you know, upload and download 24/7. Yeah, 24/7, never stops. So, you know, you could absolutely run that from home, but like most people, like I live in the US, for example, and if you process more than like a terabyte, even if you're just torrenting or something, they'll just throttle you. You know, your internet, your ISP will throttle you. So, you know, my recommendation is always just go to a bare metal provider. Latitude's really good. You know, the Solana Foundation actually has its own program with subsidized resellers, so you can kind of go through the Solana Foundation if you want to, and they subsidize the cost. You know, if you want to host with one of their like approved vendors. I think Edgevana is one of them, and StackPath is another one they work with. They're always changing the foundation program, but from what I understand right now, they're giving out like locked Solana, and they'll give you like 2x of your cost per month for your hosting. Because it's not cheap, right? So like we pay around right around $400 a month, maybe a little bit more, and then plus like 60 terabytes of transfer a month. You know, so every year we have to cough up around $5,000, like between $4,000 and $5,000. So if you rent through the Solana Foundation's like approved vendor list, they'll give you the equivalent in Solana, but it'll just be locked for like a year or two.
That's cool.
And again, yeah, it's nice. We don't take advantage of it because we really like Latitude. They're such a great third-party vendor. We've been with them, you know, like I've been with them for almost 2 years now, but we've been with them the last year, and they treat us really nicely. And the hardware, as far as what you pay for, is like the best value on the market right now.
That's
so any bare metal, you know, any bare metal provider that has equivalent specs that you need, I would say go for it.
That's easy, man. Solana Foundation make it easy, like to pop in validators, and like then like you have to handle the marketing to bring Sol on your like validator, and then drop down.
Yeah, basically. I mean,
that's cool.
Everybody on Ethereum likes to say that it's, you know, they like to frame it as like some impossible task, but like to me, that was one of the big motivating factors early on, right? Because like I was, really into Solana. I was listening about it. There was nothing telling me that's like, your average Joe can't run a Solana validator. That's just FUD, man. Like that's not true, right? And I think Bandito Stake's a really good example of what you can do, when you have, a group of people or you have enough liquidity to kind of get involved and pull it together. It's really smooth sailing once you get it started up.
100%. And like you're kind of like one of the biggest one, right?
Not by a long shot, honestly, man. I mean, we might be like one of the more well-known ones, but if you go to like stakewiz.com, you can see kind of all the validators on the Solana network. Some of these people, man, like to be honest though, it's honestly kind of sad because there's like exchanges that have validators and they're like offering their users like 5% APY, right? And they run like this mid-grade Solana validator and have millions of Solana staked with them. And it's nothing more than the fact that they have a bigger voice than other people. The people just don't know any better, right? So, there's tons of validators you can choose from. All the good ones are going to be around the same APY, but some of the biggest validators honestly have some of the worst returns.
Toxic.
Yeah, man. I wish I was joking about that.
Yeah. Who's defining like the APY? How is that calculated? Because it varies from one validator to another, right?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously the big thing is performance, right? Just kind of the way that the Solana blockchain works. Depending on how many slots that you're skipping as a validator, the more slots you skip, the worse performance you're doing, right? It's essentially just like, pretend you're a congressman, right? And you have to vote on stuff. And if you don't show up to vote for 30% of the stuff, like you're not a very good congressman, right? It's the same exact thing with a Solana validator. So the amount of slots that you skip will be determined on, how performant your hardware is. So again, you really need that high performance hardware through a bare metal, reseller. And then the other thing is your commission that you set. So there's kind of a secret sauce as far as, setting the right commission. Essentially, commission is it's how much you take from, the people that stake with you from their earnings. So if the people that stake with you earn 100 SOL, right? Like you can have a 6% commission, which is what we have. And that would mean that of every 100 SOL that they make, you would take 6 of that, right? But it's only charged when that SOL is being distributed as a reward, so they can't actually lose anything from you. You're not taking anything from them, but you're reserving a little piece of the rewards that you earn from being a validator, and you collect that yourself. So as far as the overall APR, APY, it comes down to how good the validator is, and then also what your commission is. And I would say, like my personal recommendation is like if you're in a community that has a validator, or you have like an NFT or a token, and they run a validator and you want to support that project, that should be your first priority, in my opinion. Like I would say stake with them first, right? As long as their commission is like less than 10%, let's say, I would say stake with them first. Because as long as they're a pretty performant validator, the APY isn't going to vary a whole lot. Even if you have one validator with like 10% commission and the other one with 6, it ends up like changing the APY by like 1/10 of a percentage point. So you're talking about like the best validator on the entire network, might have an APY that's 0.5% higher than like 50% of the network, right? So I would always tell people, if you have an NFT or a community that you're a part of and they run a validator, I would say number one, just stake with them first. And then, the other way that you can kind of optimize your APY or APR is by utilizing a liquid stake protocol, like Blaze Stake, or Marinade. I think there's like 6 or 8 of them listed on Solana.org. They actually have like a list of liquid staking, protocols that use the open source smart contracts. So I would definitely recommend people check that out as well.
Stack pool, become a pool manager. No, it's not that. Delegation program. Let
me see here. So go to stake pools. I think it is at the top. It's Solana.org.
Stake
then if you-
pools, yes.
Yeah, go to stake pools and scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Okay, nice. I'm
So
gonna
you got
show
DAO Pool, Jido, Lido, Marinade, Socian, Eversol, Blaze Stake, Jido Sol. These are all liquid staking protocols. And that solana.org/stake-pools, that'll show you the delegation strategy. So one of the big things that you obviously see a lot right now is liquid staking protocols.
Yes.
And these are, these are things that Anatoly tweets about all the time. They're really good because they improve decentralization. It allows you to stake your soul with hundreds of validators at once, rather than just putting all your eggs in one basket with one validator.
I did that with Marinade like today, and it was like straightforward. Like it was freaking cool. But they also have like the pool mSol/Sol 90% APY. So that's cool.
Yeah. So one of the big benefits of using a liquid stake protocol, just like you said, whether it's Marinade or Blaze Stake or Jido, you get that mSol or that bSol in return, and you can deposit it on Camino or MarginFi or Solend, whatever you're using, whatever you're comfortable with your DeFi strategy, and you can, like you said, get a good APY, just by relending out that liquid stake.
But mSol got depegged today, right?
They did. How crazy was that?
That was bad, bro.
I mean, listen, I feel bad, if people are super over leveraged and stuff, and they, they definitely got liquidated for sure. And that's the risk, right? Like that's the risk of utilizing those kind of pools. Ideally, like mSol and bSol,
it's
all
fine.
Of those, ideally they're always going to remain pegged, right? And if you saw that dip today, there was nothing from stopping you from buying that mSol at below market price, and then just going to Marinade's website and swapping it back for Sol and just repeating it, right? So it only lasted like 30 minutes or so.
1%. Yeah, people were buying mSol because it was like more like a big whale like selling a shit ton of mSol.
That's all it was.
And so that's cool. Yeah, because Marinade it's on the ecosystem like since forever, right? So like the contract risk, like one more layer of DeFi is not that crazy. Like I don't really like the loop of like mSol and then you lead to Solend or whatever the fuck you go to for DeFi, and then you borrow more. Like
you do it again and again. Sure.
I don't want to touch that shit. But
I mean, that's degen stuff, bro. Like that's straight degen stuff. I agree. And when you do that, like you inherit risk, right?
Yeah.
And then all it takes, like this guy today, I think he sold $6 million worth of Marinade, worth of mSol, and that was enough to depeg it. And God, man, tons of people got liquidated.
No, exactly. So, but like for example, if you just put like your Sol on staking and you get like 90% APY mSol Sol, do you have impairment loss for 30 minutes? But then there's no risk, right? It's fine.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're not risking out, as long as you're not lending out and using kind of extensive leverage, you're totally fine. The thing with these smart contracts, and so this is the big thing I want to tell people, right? So like the first thing is, if the only way for you to stake your soul without inheriting any kind of risk as far as smart contract risk or anything else is just by doing it natively, right? So that would be the type of person that says, I don't want to deal with Marinade, I don't want to deal with Blaze Stake. That essentially means you go in your Phantom wallet, you pick a validator, you stake with one validator, and that's the only way for you to maintain custody of your Solana while still getting a passive APY. Right. So some people are
7%, around 7 to 9%.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, that's a great return, especially if you're like me and you think Solana is going to go back up to 225, or beyond. Right. I mean, it's in the bull market that we're like, man, I'm so happy I staked my soul and got that extra 7-8%. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, that's when it really multiplies. But with liquid staking, it's pretty safe as long as you don't go out lending your tokens. Right.
Exactly.
All of the stake pools listed on that link with the solana.org/stake pools. So all of those staking pools use the official Solana Labs smart contract. So it's open source. It's produced by Solana Labs. and it's audited to all hell, right? So you know while there is of course smart contract risk, because risk is like the stuff we don't know is going to happen, it is very audited by Solana Labs, and considered pretty safe across the industry.
Okay.
If you end up just liquid staking with Marinade or Blaze and you don't do anything else with it, you can consider your funds pretty safe. And that, that's
cool.
honestly what I recommend to all my friends and family as well.
Nice.
And where, I have my personal soul, staked as well. Same thing.
What would be like the difference between like Gito and Marinade? Or like, would you recommend to split it to Marinade and Gito, or like everything is related? Like,
so
just go native.
You absolutely can, right? I think at that point when you're dividing between different liquid staking protocols, you're kind of just, putting your soul around. You're maximizing the amount of validators that you're staking with.
Yeah.
Regardless of which pool you stake with, whether it's Marinade or Gito or Blaze, they're all going to essentially stake your Solana with multiple different validators.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're all going to choose a different, delegation strategy. So I can tell you, like, early on when I got my validator started up, before Bandito DAO, started, before they basically took over the validator and it became Bandito Stake, I had a whole idea for what this validator was going to do. I figured people would stake with it just on the merit that it was, like a Solana maxi that's actively involved with the community. People would delegate their Solana and everything would be good. When I did that, though, originally we fell hard because we didn't end up having enough Solana staked with us to break even. So that's why Bandito Stake actually came over and bailed me out, essentially. Because the more soul you have self-staked, the better. So when we got this whole validator set up, we were not eligible for Marinade. We were trying really, really hard to get included in Marinade's stake pool. The problem is that Marinade has a very strict algorithm that works on a score system that Marinade uses, and they end up only delegating to like 100-something validators. And in order to do that, in order to like meet the criteria, like you got to be like on it at all times. So like if you have a 7.9% APY and everybody else has an 8% APY, like you're not going to cut it, right? So there's people that are doing like the MEV, they're doing super advanced tuning and stuff, to kind of make into that. But during that time, Blaze Stake approached us, and they asked if we wanted to join their pool. They were into the idea. They liked that it was a community-run validator. They saw that our APY was in the top 5-10% or whatever, and they were willing to work with us. So, very early on, we got involved with Blaze Stake at the, January 2023. Like I said before, we put that 5,000 self-staked Solana there, and it's been just absolutely a home run for us, man. Because we've been getting airdropped that Blaze government's token, and just this will blow your mind. But so when we started, right, Solana was around $12 a token. This was early January when everybody got together and did this. So we had 5,000 self-staked Solana at $12 a Solana. That was around 60,000 USDC, and that's split between 8 to 10 of us. We've had people drop out, but just assume it's around 10 people. And then now, so fast forward 12 months, and we've been getting Blaze airdrop to us every month, every few weeks, whatever the schedule is. We have around 30 million Blaze tokens, and those Blaze tokens now are worth more than the 60 grand that we started with. So it fluctuates all the time, but just with our airdrop, right? Like we've completely doubled the amount of money we started with just by running a validator.
Love the money, right? Love free money. It's good.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. And like if you can get into the Marinade stake pool, you get something similar and whatnot. Yeah. But just by utilizing that liquid stake protocol, we've been able to take a big governance stance in Blaze, and which is cool because we end up using that Blaze to we lock it and use it in their squads, and we can actually use the validator gauges to delegate more Solana to our node specifically, which is how we've been able to get up to 75,000 soul staked. It's just by utilizing these liquid stake protocols.
That's pretty cool, man. So like being a validator is a good business, or is it hard? Like, is it good?
It's good if you got, I mean, if you believe in Solana, right?
Yeah.
If you believe that the future of Solana is as bright as we all
Yeah.
think it is, right? Which
Yeah.
I do. I absolutely do. And I would say there's no better business to it, man. There really isn't.
That's true. Yeah, you're the casino, right? When you're a validator.
Yeah, exactly. Your Solana's, just sitting there healthy, growing all the time. You get these airdrops that, in some cases can be very lucrative.
That's cool.
When Blaze was at an all-time high just a few days ago,
Yeah.
I think we were at like around $120,000 USDC worth. I mean, that's nothing to bat an eye at. And that's completely separate from our Solana, growing at the rate that it does. Because we started with 5,000 Solana, and typically you'll if you if you self stake as a validator, you're gonna end up making, if you do the 5,000 SOL, you'll end up making around 300 SOL per year, like additional profits. So that's split between the whole council. We set up some of that for the DAO as well, so we can do DAO activities. And it's just a really good way to build a community, man. Like, I can't think of a better way for a Solana NFT or Solana community to get together and do something together where they're all kind of mutually benefiting. Yeah.
Okay, so like what you pay like 5,000 a year for like your the hardware and stuff.
Yeah, right around 5,000 a year.
That's it.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, it's 5,000. So let me actually explain. So it's 5,000 a year for each server that you have. In order to, so if you just run a mainnet validator, just a normal Solana mainnet beta validator, you can get to the same 75K that we have just following our blueprint, right? Just if you do the same thing that we did, you'll get the same amount of Solana staked with you over time that we have. If you want to get the additional stake from the Solana Foundation, which is something that we're currently working on, it is going to just absolutely give it an additional income stream for the DAO and just do a lot of really good stuff. If you want to go that route, you have to run a mainnet validator node and you have to run a testnet validator node.
Okay.
So the testnet node is essentially, they basically beta test versions of the Solana network on the testnet before they roll it out to mainnet. So like, for example, right now, like I think we're on testnet version like 1.17.9, and mainnet is still for the most part on 1.16. So they do all the kind of testing just to make sure there's no halts or any kind of like errors. They do all the testing on testnet months in advance before it runs into mainnet. So there's a separate program for that. It takes about 6 months to get onboarded to the Solana Foundation's program. Okay. But it's very lucrative, I'll tell you. Right now they're changing the program. So essentially it's the way that it was they would delegate 25,000 SOL automatically to you, and then they would delegate additional bonus stake depending on how good your validator is. But they're actually changing that, and now they're going to switch to a model where they'll match up to the first 100,000 Solana staked to your node. So it basically incentivizes people to go out and talk to the community and get Solana, delegated with them. And then once that Solana is delegated to the node, the Solana Foundation will match that amount. And like I said, it takes about 6 months to get onboarded. We're about 30% of the way through. So like I said, I think we'll be like February to April of next year, we'll be onboarded. And the goal is for us to get 100,000 SOL, normal stake, and the Solana Foundation will delegate up to another 100,000 SOL on top of that. So if if anybody out there is listening,
I've crashed. I've crashed. My OBS is crashing. I will have to restart it. Just give me a second. Sorry to interrupt you. Yes. Okay. Are we back, guys? I think we are. Let me check it. Yes. Are we still live? Yes. And we're back. Let's go. Okay. Sorry, bro. A little something, but yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, man.
Nice. And yeah, okay. So we're good. Sorry, guys. I don't know what, but that's the second time it happens today. I probably need to check something in the configuration. But okay, so yeah, we were talking about like the grant from the foundation. Yeah.
So
sorry about that.
Essentially kind of just recapping, if people that are listening now that are in their own communities, they want to start a Solana validator, they can do that without the foundation's help at all, right? If you just follow the same thing that we did, get some self-staked SOL together, work with the liquid staking protocol, it's very easy to get to where we are now. So for us, the next step is to get that additional Solana Foundation grant. So the Solana Foundation will delegate up to 100,000 Solana with you, which is huge. I mean, that, for people listening, if you have an NFT or in a community, that's a few $1,000s a month just in rewards, assuming that you have 100,000 SOL delegated to your validator and your validator is doing well, right? I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. So Solana Foundation will delegate up to 100,000 SOL. In order for them to do that, you're going to have to run two different nodes. You have to run a mainnet node, and then the second one is a testnet node. And then the testnet is essentially, we're just testing out the future of Solana on this separate network, make sure everything works good. Just kind of like I was saying before, mainnet's currently at like 1.16 as far as the version, and the testnet it's already up to 1.17.9, which is they're always releasing new features and stuff. It's actually pretty cool how fast it gets developed. When you're actually monitoring the Discord notifications and you're seeing like, oh, there's a new testnet, version, update your nodes, etc. They build quick, man. Solana Labs is awesome.
True, bro. Like, okay, so and what do you have to do? Like, for example, when there is like the blockchain is shutting down, like that way, what we got like last year, like when all of the validators were on Discord and they were talking with each other, oh, we need to restart, blah blah blah. First, do you have to do it on your own validator to like restart the blockchain and stuff like that? And is there any other tasks that you need to do on a daily or something like that, on a daily basis?
Yeah, man, great questions for sure. So I can tell you, I was there in the trenches every single time that Solana halted.
That's because of you, bro.
Yeah, man. Like I had to answer to people. Like I was at Permissionless last year, the big conference, and like that, it's a multi-crypto conference, right? So people would ask me like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, I run a validator on Solana. And they would just immediately go cracking jokes. They're like, oh, I heard that goes down all the time. And I'm like, man, like it's annoying. But to answer your question, like if/when Solana goes down, the first thing you do, I mean, first of all, your Discord starts blowing up. Like any good validator subscribe to the Solana Tech channel, and usually pretty immediately. Like the last few times, or the only few times that it happened, I can tell you, like within 30 seconds to a minute, people were blowing up the chat and trying to figure out what happened. In all of those scenarios, we had people way smarter than me figure this thing out. And within 15 minutes to 30 minutes or so, we were all coordinating a restart. So as far as like what I had to do, the lazy validator would just wait, because eventually everything comes back and you can just kind of restart your node and catch up. But if you want to be part of the people who go down in history as far as like who was there on ground zero to restart Solana that day, essentially like instructions get put out to the Discord. It's pretty simple to follow. It usually involves, you have to change your settings, your Solana system file and your validator. That's all good stuff to learn. But all the times that it's gone down, I was there, and I can tell you it gets hectic. Now, as far as like daily maintenance, for the most part, like there is no daily maintenance. I can tell you that, like, that's cool. If you're working with the Solana Foundation program and you are trying to get delegated stake, you're going to have a testnet node and a mainnet node. For the testnet, I will say that new updates roll out pretty frequently, which is always, that's good. If you're bullish on a cryptocurrency, you want to see that shit get developed, pretty quickly. So like with testnet, I would say probably once a week, I get a notification in Discord that says like, hey, we want to roll out 5 to 10% of the stake to, version 1.17.2 or whatever it is. And it'll give you instructions for how to do that. And it's pretty simple. There's different ways to upgrade your node. There's a package out there on GitHub called SV Manager. SV dash manager. It essentially just makes it really easy for you to update your node. So it's about 2 commands that you hit in there, and then it'll automatically download the packages, install everything, restart, catch up to the network, etc.
Okay.
For the mainnet, I mean, if you're not even working with the Solana Foundation to get that extra grant, a mainnet node, I mean, I would honestly say like once every few weeks you have to log in and do something. But the whole idea behind Solana, I mean, the whole idea is that it's a very high performant blockchain, and it shouldn't need much, interaction for it to work. Like it's always on 24/7. Like if your validator is on less than 99.9% of the time, you're, in Solana's eyes, you're considered not a good validator, right?
Oh, okay, that's really interesting. Okay, so when you self-stake your soul, like what's the performance that you have, like the reward?
When you self-stake?
Yeah, like the first soul that you have when you self-stake your Solana, what's the return of investment on that? You get 7% or not?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can tell you one thing though. 5,000 soul, self-staked is about what it takes to outweigh the voting fees. So when you run a validator on Solana, you have submitting transactions and verifying transactions. That all takes Solana, right? It takes Solana to interact with the network. So when you run a validator, it costs Solana on a daily basis. It's usually around 0.7 sol, give or take, worth of voting fees. And so you need around 5,000 sol self-staked in order to make more Solana than what you're putting out. Now, if you want to be profitable to the point where you're, overriding your hosting fees plus the voting costs on the on the network, you're probably going to need around 5,000 self-staked and then like another 50,000 or so sol delegated. Yeah. And that goes up. That number actually goes up over time. Like when I started, it was either 5,000 sol self-staked or 50,000 sol delegated. Now it's like either 100,000 sol delegated, or 5,000 sol, liquid stake or self-staked. I should say.
Self-stake. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so that's a good initial investment that you have to put on the table, or like be able to have your community back you up. Okay, so you can't really do
hard.
that. Yeah, okay,
it's hard. I mean, you either got to have a community that has access to a good amount of Solana, or you got to be about go out there and network with people.
Yeah,
because I'll tell you, like, I think we have. It's definitely less than 100 people total staking with us. Like I can see how many wallets are staking with us. So it ends up that you're just kind of chasing whales, right? I mean, you're chasing these people that have a ton of Solana, and you're like, what do I got to do to get you to stake, 10,000 sol with us, right? Yeah. And part of that is, are you good with people? Are you able to kind of sell a story to them? Because most people, if they're super bullish on Solana, they're happy to help out, another validator, as long as they know that you're going to be online, right? Like they want to make sure that their Solana is increasing in value over time. Yeah. So it really comes down to being able to network people and, reach out to the people that have a good amount of Solana. It's a huge thing, and it's not easy, right? I mean, that's just like I said before, like that, I went bust my first time. Like I think I probably spent over 300 Solana of my own stash, right? Just paying for the voting fees out of my own pocket. I think I was a little bit more optimistic than I should have been, thinking about who was going to stake with us. I figured that as long, I was a good community member, everybody knew me, it'll be fine. I'll post on Twitter and people will, stake with my validator. It's the same thing as staking anywhere else. People do it, right? And then like months go by, right? And you have like 10,000 sol staked and you're like losing Solana every day. That's like a tough pill to swallow, right? So I would always advise people, get together with a group of people who are serious about Solana, who are saying things like, I want to lock in my soul now. I want to come back a year or two from now. And I think Solana is going to be higher. That's the crew you want to be with, right? And Bandito DAO we did exactly the same thing. All of those people who locked in that 500 to 1,000 sol early on, like at the beginning of the year, they're still here. Like nobody's requested to pull out their Solana. They all have long-term visions.
Okay. Yeah, like you have one stake account with like 74,000, almost 75,000 Sol, right? Is that like the DAO account?
That's probably from Blaze Stake. You know, if you're looking at those, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That's dope.
Yeah. So you know,
okay.
essentially, and with these liquid stake protocols, right? Like you can get involved with the governance, you know, and use the gauges to stake more Sol with your node.
Okay.
So that's something that we've really capitalized on. We've done a good job with.
Okay, so like from Blaze, that Blaze is taking on your validator, and all of the users using Blaze or like getting like Blaze reward plus like the 7% APY from the validator. That's dope.
Yeah, Blaze is awesome, man. You know, I'll tell you, we got involved early on, just looking at it, basically saying like, if this does anything the same thing as Marinade does, you know, which we thought it would, right? We looked at, you know, at the tech and stuff, and we thought it was pretty good. We knew early on that if we went all in on this, it would do really well for the DAO, you know, later on.
Yeah, okay.
And so currently, right now, if anybody stakes through Solblaze, you can go to solblaze.org. Or go to the Bandito Stake Twitter and just click on the top link that we have pinned. Right now, the estimated APY between just holding your Solana and making that increase over time, and then plus the Blaze token that you get airdropped, it's around, it's over 11%. And sometimes it peaks up to like 13%. Yeah. I would highly encourage anybody, you know, if you're looking for a liquid stake protocol, definitely keep Blaze Stake involved.
Nice. That's really cool. Man, I love this ecosystem. Like,
it's so great, isn't it, man?
Cool. It's cool. I like
it. I like Marinade too, man. Like I like them all. I love to see anybody that's working on developing tech in this space, man. Solana's just special, man. We're built different.
100%. Yeah, we need to bridge back. Come home, please. The slab, come home. But yeah, man, like no, that's definitely interesting. So yeah, what makes a good validator? Like, is that like the fine tuning from like the validator's owner? Can they tweak the code base to do something faster, better, etc.? Or like what's the strategy there?
There's definitely ways, you know, for the super nerdy people out there that want to go kind of all in, there's definitely ways. So just, you know, as far as how that looks, like before version 1.16 came out, there was a feature that came with the Solana Validator set, and it was called Solana Sys Tuner. So the system tuner. And that program would run with your validator and would automatically adjust, you know, certain settings, tweak things here and there, to make sure that it was doing the best as it could for the actual hardware that you have. So ever since 1.16 got released, that actually got removed from the code base. So now it's a manual process. I can tell you it's not super hard. You just got to do a little bit of reading. It'll definitely reward people that want to go kind of all in and get nerdy with it.
And the generates.
Yeah, for sure, man. And some people are going to want to do that, you know. You know, at the end of the day, like it's not going to make you 10% better than the rest of the validators. Like you're really kind of splitting hairs on like that final oomph as far as performance.
But everybody like trading, high frequency trading, like worth it, right? Like
for sure.
That's the 1 plus 1 plus 1 that equals 1,000.
Yeah, man. that's kind of the whole thing with Solana, right?
Exactly. No, that's pretty cool. Sorry, I cut you.
Oh no, it's okay, man. The definitely, you know, those are options are available for people who want to go that route.
Nice. Okay, in the chat, like, should we like set up a Decod3rs validator? Like, are you willing to put like 1,000 Sol on the Decod3rs validators? I'm curious about that.
I wish I had 1,000 Sol liquid. I'll tell you, man, from the early days, like it was always my goal, right? Like I have a good friend, Brad.Sol is his name. And he used to tell me early on, you know, like if you have 1,000 Solana, like you're a future millionaire at one point. You have 1,000 Sol. I got about 500, you know, plus JPEGs and stuff.
Yeah.
I would definitely help you guys get set up and whatnot. And I'll even campaign and lobby for you. I wish I had 1,000 Sol to just stake with validators that I like.
But what are the risks like for the soul holders? Like if I fucked up with the validators, what happened?
So,
For the,
so I'm assuming you're mentioning like slashing. That's kind of like
yeah,
that's like
that's on
this.
ETH, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of a scary term. I'll tell you, as far as like somebody who's been doing this for almost 2 years, I've literally never heard of anybody getting their Solana slashed. Technically, it is possible, but it's really reserved for like the validators that are like trying to cheat the system.
Yeah, okay.
So, you would have to be staking with a validator that's like knowingly doing bad stuff to try to like cheat the voting system to get more soul rewarded to them.
Like what? Like who do you cheat the system?
Man, I try to not even pay. I mean, I don't know. I don't know exactly how you would do it. You can't do it by accident, right? I mean, it's the kind of stuff that people are trying to game smart contracts, but for the most part, like if the validator you're staking with doesn't perform well, you don't lose Solana, right? Like, you just don't get those rewards. You got to like really go out of your way to like incur a time where you're actually getting slashed. I've never even seen it on Solana, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. And what make like a good performance then? Like you have to be geographically positioned, or like can the validators in Australia be good for the people sending transaction in Australia? Like how does that work exactly?
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah. Last time I checked, honestly, bro, I don't think we have any validators in Australia. We might have one. And I know that because originally I saw that, right? Like I looked at the geographic map on validators.app and I saw that there were no validators in Australia. So I really wanted to launch a validator in Australia.
It would make sense, right? But there's they don't dispatch.
I mean, like your decentralization score would look really good because there's nobody else there. Like I'll tell you, like one of our nodes is hosted in Los Angeles, and like when we started it, it was no biggie, right? Like there was nobody in Los Angeles, but now it's like there's like 100 nodes in Los Angeles. So we're actually talking about different places that we can host it, because you want to have those nodes spread out geographically. So if you wanted to start one in Australia, you absolutely can. You just got to find a bare metal host that has inventory in that area. It would definitely be good for Solana, and I would highly encourage anybody who's interested in that, especially if you're from Australia, like do that for sure.
That makes sense.
The reason why we ended up not doing it was because the data, like the actual data bandwidth costs that we'd have to pay every month, it's higher, right? I mean, it's about twice as much as what we pay here in the States.
Okay. Okay. I mean, like in France, it's quite cheap. Like you can have something for $2, but maybe not the business level great shit that you want.
Yeah.
But like, does that have like any influence on like performances? Like for example, if I send a transaction in Australia, do I have to, if I have a validator close to me, like transaction going faster or no?
No, because
exactly. So
the person I'm sorry, not the person, but the validator who's processing the transaction is decided. It's random and it's decided in advance. So there's no kind of like priority for geographic areas. Okay. But I will say like exactly. But like these liquid stake protocols, right? Like Marinade, Blaze Stake, those look at where your validator is. And one of the ways that those smart contracts decide who to stake with is by, are there 1,000 people who have validators in your city, or is there nobody, right? It's like I can actually say, like, if you start a node in Australia, for example, and you're willing to, kind of put up the cash to get that data paid for, you will most likely, as long as you're a high performance validator, you'll most likely get a delegation from either Marinade or one of these other plays, big staking pools. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't get your delegation like directly, but you get most of your delegation from like a liquid staking protocol that delegate to your app or your validator. Just because you have like either deals with them or like more delegation benefit from them. Like how do they decide? So
each liquid stake protocol has its own criteria,
Okay.
Ideally, they're going to have like a smart contract or some kind of bot that analyzes all the validators and then just constantly rebalances. I know Marinade publishes all that stuff on their GitHub account, so you can kind of see like what the stake bot's deciding to do. I mean, even the Solana Validator, the Solana Foundation's delegation program, that's all handled by a smart contract too, and it looks at those types of things. Marinade definitely takes into consideration, geographically where you are and how many validators are in your area.
Okay, that's exciting, man. I like it.
Yeah. It's honestly
Malta?
kind of a, what's that?
Yeah. No, like VPF, like what about Malta? Maybe I can start a validator in Malta.
I don't know if there's any validators in Malta. I hope if you do, man, I'll find some soul to stake with you.
That would be fun, man. But like, what like it's called Lollipop, yeah. Like what makes like a good validator? Like you have to compete with which is each other, right? Like is that like the biggest presence on Twitter that gonna make like the most delegation? Or okay, I saw Coinbase like leading, like having. You're right. Like on the Solana Beach stat, like the first one is Coinbase, and they have the APY of 3%, bro. It's fucking shit,
yeah, dude.
Crazy.
That's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't know it was that bad, but like, I mean, that's the thing people need to realize. If you're like using an exchange and it says like, oh, stake your soul and get extra percentage, you're always better off just going into the ecosystem and finding a more direct way of doing it. Because like these guys who work at Coinbase and stuff, like they're not like ingrained with Solana like we are. Like they're not checking the Discord and rolling out the new updates as soon as the rest of us are.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So in a sense, yeah, like we compete with those people for sure. But like we're kind of all in it together as far as like if you look at us versus other communities, like I know Thugbirds has a validator. Solana Monkey Business has their own validator that's separate from ours. Like these are all small communities. We're kind of all on the same team. When you pair us against people like Coinbase or some of these other institutions, they're really just capitalizing on the fact that they got millions of people inside their app and they just want people to click a button. I mean, that's all it is. But if people do a little bit more homework, they're going to get a better APY, right?
Yeah. I mean, exactly. Like crypto reward, like the time you spend on the ecosystem, right? Like if you do more research, you exit Coinbase and then you go directly native staking via your Phantom wallet and you make more money, right?
Exactly.
Like it's rewarding the people who work the most.
Exactly.
It's a meritocracy. Crypto is a meritocracy, man.
Yeah, man, for sure.
No, but that's definitely okay. That's definitely cool. I need to find like 100,000 soul now. Fuck.
If you find a better way than what I've been doing it, man, I've been active since fucking beginning of 2021, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. I will have my decoder as well, like to jump into it. That's gonna be fine. Gonna bring back some capital from ETH blockchain.
There you go.
This blockchain is shit anyway. I hate this, bro. It's shit.
Well, I don't use it. I don't have any Bitcoin, no Ethereum, man. I'm all in on Solana.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
I think that's the way, bro. Like Solana for the win, bro.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah. Any price prediction for 2024, 2025?
Bro, I think Solana will probably crush the 225 mark that we were at before. I think like 500 by the end of 2024 is super reasonable. Okay. And I think we'll hit 1,000 by 2025, man. I really believe that.
$1,000?
Yeah, man.
Bro, how many souls did we waste on fucking rug? And that shit will cost us.
I know.
1,000
I don't even
soul, bro.
I don't even want to think about that, man. I gambled so much with my bonk airdrop that I got last year. And that bonk now, man, would be worth thousands of dollars today. Yeah. But I would have just held on to it. But I mean, listen, this is what I tell people. Go look at like the CoinGecko top 10, top 20, top 50 cryptos. And then look how many fucking worthless blockchains there are sitting in front of Solana. Like last year, it was like Cardano and all this other shit. Like that all got pushed back, but we still have like Binance Chain has more liquidity than Solana apparently, right? Like these are all things that we can absolutely push past. I think we'll have no problem seeing Solana at 500 by the end of next year.
Yeah, 500. Yeah, 500. So yeah, 8x from here. That's cool. I like it. I like that.
Deal. No big deal.
Easy money.
Be buying a house.
Maybe two.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I think honestly, like with the narrative of okay, so we had the fucking worst black swan ever. We touched fucking 8, and 3 months after, 3 months, whatever, like some couple of weeks after, we go back to 60.
Yeah,
that's a good narrative, man. And in a bear market, that's cool.
It's as good as it gets, man. I mean, there's a reason why all that Solana that got sold by FTX got bought up, right? I mean, you know, Sam Bankman-Fried was an absolute scumbag and a scammer, right?
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that he was smart. He picked Solana for reasons that are legit, right? Like Solana is a great blockchain, right? So I'm really happy to see the community, how we've all kind of gotten together. All that FTX soul has been sold. You know, it's nothing but greener greens from here.
Yeah, no, 100%. Oh shit, OBS. I don't know why. I think it's the music background. Okay, I have to restart that again. That's sad.
All good.
Okay, yeah, it's okay. But we're gonna, and we are back. Okay, cool. But like, yeah, okay. It's my clue to close the stream really soon. Man. But bro, that was fucking fantastic. Are we back? Are we back, everyone? Please tell me we're back. It should be fine. But yeah, like the future of Solana looks bright, that's for sure. And yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see how things evolved with time. Because again, like maybe tomorrow, next week, next month, next bull market, we can see like another layer one that gonna get all of the attention and VC and stuff, right? But that could be like basically we become Facebook and all of the cool kids on TikTok, right? You never know.
Yeah, man, exactly.
That could be tricky. But yeah, after that, we'll see where we go. But anyway, man, thank you so much for your time. I think we can slowly wrap it up. Yeah, yes. Yeah, okay. So would you recommend like all of the NFT project on the ecosystem to start their own validator?
I do. Yeah, man. If there's anything I'm passionate about, anybody who's all in on Solana, man, start your own validator. It's not as hard as people make it out to be. Yes, you need a little bit of soul. If you run an NFT collection though, and you have a community and they all minted your NFT, you got the Solana right there. You just have to do it. And regardless of who's out there, if they ever want to hit me up on Twitter, at Hanko Baggins, I'm happy to help them get set up with a validator.
Nice.
It's really not as hard as it used to be.
Appreciate you, bro. I will probably slide into your DM at some point. I'm gonna make this project and channel profitable, and here and there we're gonna put some soul all together. That could be interesting.
I love it, man. Yeah, you got some great videos. I watched some of your streams before this, and you guys got a good thing going. Yeah, man.
Yeah, we did like a couple of monkey show. That was great. Like
I love it. Love to see it.
Yeah,
you need to get more banditos on here, man. Get Lieutenant Lollipop on here next.
That's my next question, bro. Like, who should be the next guest, and can you please make the introduction?
Listen, bro. Lieutenant Lollipop has got one of the brightest minds in Web3. I gotta tell you, he really. I mean, there's no leader at Bandito DAO, but he is so on point with his viewpoints, and he kind of guides the flow, and he's on top of things, man. We got all kind of cool things happening. We're playing Photo Finish live. We got a whole Bandito stables going. It's great, man. Talk to Lollipop. I'll make the intro for you. Thanks. This has gone really well, and we'll get you guys plugged in.
Awesome. Yeah, like I'm in I can see him in the at the swap, like ABC's ventures chat. I saw him here and there. I follow him on his like beef with Frank and DeCod stuff. That was funny to watch. But yeah, like 100% would love to have him on the channel, bro. You can come back with Lollipop. That would be cool.
Oh, that'd be awesome, man. Yeah, we'd love it, man. For sure.
Okay, let's do that. And yeah, any takeaways like you would like the Decoders community and Banditos that watch the show that just would like to take home?
If there's anything, man, if anybody can start a validator, if I can do it, anybody can do it, man. And again, like I don't have any kind of crazy background. I know it's intimidating, but with ChatGPT and Google, man, like you're in good hands. You can get a validator bootstrapped and get it going.
Nice.
There's a ton of good resources out there. It's really not nearly as hard as it used to be. So if anybody's interested in that, or you just need some tips or whatever, you want to talk to me about starting a validator, I get questions all the time. Just DM me on Twitter. It's at Hanko Baggins. I'm happy to help you guys.
Yes. Okay, deals, bro. I'm gonna slide into you. Give me some couple of months, and yeah, we're gonna do that. I
love it.
Bring back some ETH liquid to Sol because that's the only blockchain that really matters.
Amen, brother.
Thank you so much, Hanko. I really appreciate that time. That was great. You were a great guy at the monkey party. You're even better on the channel. It's awesome. Thank you so much, man. Bro.
Thanks, bro. It was great meeting you in person. I'm happy to be here, man. This was awesome.
Thank you so much. And you're gonna definitely come back on this because it was fun. We need an episode 2. Thank you, everyone. Brother. Thank you, Hanko. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Have a good night. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Bye, everyone.